You may text us at 0999-887-6070. That's 0999-887-6070. Miss with Miss G is a radio show every Wednesdays and or Fridays at 2 p.m. about beauty pageants and more. We go deep into the beauty pageants from the sitio, barangay, municipal, all the way to the national and even international level. Yes, I am your host, Miss Maria Glenda H. Suico, or Miss G, a personality development pageant trainer, and we will talk all about the ins and outs of pageants and other pageant related topics, which includes but is not limited to social issues and its relevance to the society today, using the platform of pageantry as a venue for open communication, collaboration, and creating something beautiful that showcases beauty with a purpose, using pageant as an arena for social justice and equity. Let's talk. Mag-istorya lang gud tagod. Let's have a conversation or lots of conversations only at TMC's Miss with Miss G. Again, maayong hapon ka natong tanan. Maayong hapon Sugbo. Kumusta na Cebu? Kumusta? Daghan kay tag mga nasinati nga mga nindot, bati, pero overall we're still thankful and we're still blessed kay nakamatag hapon ta karong adlaw og bisan tinuod sa kilom-kilom sa adlaw kay murag nagatubang gyud ko diri nagatubang ko sa panganod medyo murag agoy mag-uwan naman sa ni pareha gabi. And of course with Kamusta Cebu, I have here a beautiful guest. Kani siya actually dito ni siya Manila and she's been very busy and well we really wanted her to come here no but unfortunately medyo like me also I got the bug like a few days ago and then she also was na kuan sad nasakit kay naamon tay mga kana because umod sa kainit and then mukalit lang og bugnaw mukalit lang uwan. So, tungod siguro ni sa panahon yung mga burr and of course, ato sang mga ka-stress sa mga niaging nga hubag-hubagan ta kada lihok sa yuta sa and then the giabtan pag typhoon so medyo tanan-tanan the physical, the emotional and the mental stress nag-abot-abot so usahay mo pauli man sad ni sa atong lawas labi na og kanang we do so much, we do a lot of outreach mo ato ta bisag asa so bisan tinuod og dili siya live here to join us this afternoon still pagaw-pagaw ra ba jud kuno siya niingon siya but you know what, she still looks lovely. She still looks beautiful. Bisag naarta via Zoom, and we'll be having a lot of things to talk about. Kay it's all about. It's not just about pageant, but it is all about Cebu. Mangumusta ta sa Cebu and mangumusta ta niya on what has been going on in her life sa iyang kabisi. And for those of you, let me just give you a little introduction. Og kinsa ang ato ang maanyag nga guest karong hapuna, di ba? In 2018, she won Miss Mandaue, and then she won Miss Cebu 2022. She won Miss Universe Philippines Cebu or represented Cebu in the Miss Universe Philippines in 2025, and I think karong umaabot na 2026, she will be representing being the Miss Eco International. Ladies and gentlemen, way lain ang ato ang gwapang Sugboana. Kumusta and welcome Dr. Gabby Carballo. Hi Gab.
Hello, how are you? I hope my sound is okay on your end.
Nindot gihapon ang tingog as in. I can hear you
Okay.
actually. I was worried kanina kaya I was like, hala, walay sounds but at least nadungog nimo the mic. So makadungog okay naman sa kaha ang ako ang side Gab.
Okay, good kaayo.
All right. Okay. So please say hello, Gab, and di naman siguro ka kinahal na mag-introduce, but at least tell us a little bit about yourself and say hi, hello to everybody nga naminaw nato karon. And we are also live sa ato akin amtay podcast. No, we're also live at TMC Facebook and then at YouTube and TikTok as well. So say hi to everybody.
Yeah, so to everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in. If you happen to be in the car lang going somewhere, or if you're at home or you're just online scrolling on Facebook and you happen to see this video, welcome to, I guess, today's episode. Yeah, I Miss Eco International Philippines 2026. But first and foremost, I am really just a Cebuana. So, yes, like mentioned, I've done a lot of the bigger pageants here on the island of Cebu. Never thought that this would be my life. I didn't ever dream of being a beauty queen when I was a little girl, but as life opened doors, I was able to start, getting into this industry. And right now, I can really say that I finally feel like I'm really living the dream that started after Miss Mandaue 2018. It was only then that I started thinking that maybe I had potential to go to a bigger stage. And now, even if, yes, it's tiring sometimes flying back and forth, Cebu, Manila, I just arrived last night. But I really can say there's no better time than this point of my life to be doing this where, I can be moving all like around all the time. So yeah, I'm just really, really grateful right now. And I'm grateful for opportunities like this also that you can get to know me a bit more aside from the 30 seconds that you saw me answer Q&A or the 1 minute that you saw in the closed door interview of MUPH. Yeah, I'm really grateful. So thank you for inviting me to share my heart a little bit more.
Yes, and actually, Gab, the reason why is because also because of you're one of the babies or anak of Mommy Jonas, and
Yes,
yeah, the
exactly.
connection is there, and uh, me the Miss is actually part of his legacy. So I'm continuing it, but now on a different platform, bali airwaves na siya and podcast. So doing the personality development work that he started, we started, and then of course being one of his alaga and one of his what you call this one, tawag man anak-anak. So that's the reason why nga always gid ka you you will always come to mind. And thank you so much for gracing us this afternoon. Thank you for saying yes. Despite of your very busy schedule, kay daghan, kay kasanan og mga promotion, mga products, the modeling. Yeah. Last week you were in Manila. So, thank you, kay Gab, as in.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I think just as you would have a soft spot for me for that reason, it's the same going back. Hopefully we'll get to talk a little bit about the journey itself and how many times Mommy Jonas has showed up to show me that I was joining at the right time. I saw white orchids so many times during MUPH, and I knew that those were his favorites. So for sure, the connection is and will always be there.
Yeah. So, let's start before ta mangumusta sa Cebu. Kay mo man ato ang episode karon. Mangumusta ta ni Gabby. Okay. Let's start when you were little. Was this always ba? Naa na ba jud ka sa gamay pa ka? Do you like dream of becoming a kanang Miss Universe or in pageant? Pareha ba ka ng ubang mga gagmayng bata nga maglakaw-lakaw, mag-makeup, magsulob-sulob anang mga magpalak-palak nga kanang sapatos atong mga inahan nga naka-heels-heels? Was this always been there when you were a child?
No, it really wasn't. Like in the best way I can put it, medyo bugoy sad ko pagkabata nako. I grew up in the US, but I grew up playing sports.
Mhm.
I would say that I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So I played soccer, I played basketball, I played volleyball, I did track and field, I did dance, I did theater, I did so many things. And none of them really connected me to pageantry until I was discovered by Mommy Jonas back in 2017, and he presented the idea of Miss Mandaue to me. I never thought it could be possible just because the pageant industry in the U.S. where I was born and raised is not that big of a thing. You wouldn't even really see many girls doing modeling. It's not that common of a route for people there. And I was a Filipina in America. I mean, I never felt discriminated against, but I also did not like, especially at that time, no social media yet. So if you're talking about the standard of beauty, there was really none at that time because I think there was just not enough information going around because social media was not there. So when I was little, I was really just an academic, and then of course all those extracurriculars that I mentioned. But then when I got to a certain age, before I went into college, which is around the time that Mommy Jonas discovered me, I was kind of thinking, like where is the place that I can go that celebrates everything that I do. I knew I wasn't good enough to go pro in volleyball. Even if I played in Sisafi and everything here in Cebu, they just made me a Hall of Famer for Sisafi this year. But for the stuff in pageantry, not for the stuff in volleyball. So I knew that I wasn't good enough to go pro, but then the only place that I felt super celebrated for everything that I was and all the skills that I had was in pageantry because it allowed me to do talent competitions where I could sing because I do sing on the side. I did choir from grade 3 onwards. And so the talent competition in Miss Mandawi, I sang a Little Mermaid song,
Yes,
Part
you
of Your
did.
World. Um, I just felt like pageantry was the perfect place for me to get to speak about everything that I've done, every place that I've come from, all the skills that I have. It was the perfect place for me to be celebrated as a whole person. And then it was another thing lang afterwards when I did start doing public service works through the crown that really got me to realize, wow, it's not just for my own self-fulfillment, but there's also a lot that I can do with the responsibility. That's why I stayed, and it's been like how many years now?
Oh, yeah, right. And then, so Bale, 2017, discovered by Mommy Jonas. Tell me about your training with Mommy Jonas.
Yeah, so very different my training back then compared to before MUP. Because back then we would do it in groups.
Mm.
So we would be outside of his shop, which is in Talamban. It was a parking lot. And I think a lot of the people there must have been very used to watching pageant girls train there.
Yes.
Because, most times you see girls in really high heels and leggings, and you'll see a lot of people standing by to watch. But nobody would. We felt very safe in that environment. So I remember I would train with, I think at that time, Shaila Rabortera was training
Yes.
for Miss
Uh-huh.
Millennial or
Mm-mm.
something. And then who else was with me? There were younger ones. Casly Libres, I think, was with
Yes.
us. Still very young at the time. Um, we would just go
I
back
think
and
she was
forth like
12
2
during that time. 11 or
Yes, she
12,
was
yeah.
very young.
Mm-mm.
I was like, wow, she's really, really preparing this early. But yeah, we were just walking back and forth for 2 hours. Our feet would be really painful, but Mommy Jonas would say, it's okay, just finish. If our form would start getting a little bit off, he would really like try to correct us back into walking properly. But I remember I had so many blisters on my feet. I learned after the first session na dapat jud ko mag-socks di ay. Kaya grabe the blisters after. I was so new that I think it was Shyla who told me next time bring socks so that you don't get blisters.
Yes,
So
but
from then until now, I
until
carry that
now,
with me.
basta practice kay grabe Jonas is actually very strict when it comes to practice, as in
Yeah.
especially with the posture and all those things. During my time in the way back, maggunit na siya actually og stick. Iyahang pitkon ang imuhang luyo but to make sure nga ang imuhang uh, kanang sa tawag kaning the vertebrae will be kanang mas straight gid bitaw so ingon ana siya ka straight grabe. Was
In
he
fairness,
also
during my time, not that way.
not that way? Natudloan na or yung but sa amoa grabe as in ya kanang mag bali ang among luyo and for those of you who don't know, the duck walk is actually very hard.
Yeah.
If
Until now, I still hate it.
yeah, if done the proper technique. Okay, if you've noticed, Gab, there are a lot of trainers nowadays and people na mag-duck walk sila, but inigtanaw ni mo di man ni mao ang kanang technique. Kay naa magud siya naa siya pamaagi. There's science behind it. This one. So, ikaw, you were one of those nga kanang nagitudluan or natudluan ni Jonas. Was during your time 2017 kay the 2017 wala mang ko ani kay ni pahulay ko because this was the time that I was pregnant. I think it was Mommy Carla with you.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes. At that time, yes.
Mm-mm. And then, so it was her with the, kani siya Miss Mandaue na siya.
Yes, Miss Mandawi.
And then, tell me about your journey sa Miss Mandaue.
Yeah, so I love you know what, you can never let go of the magic that you feel in your first competition. No matter how many competitions you do after, nothing feels like the first one. I think that comes with the fact that you're still so new to everything and you focus less on the competition side and there's less pressure on you because you're brand new. You are there because you really want to be there. And I'm not saying that with competitions after that you no longer want to be there. That's not really the case at all. But it's more of like during your first pageant, there's really that absence of weight on your shoulders that you have something to live up to.
Right.
So my first pageant, I went in really just feeling the whole thing and how it was. I remember Phoebe Godinez was the one who had already won Miss Toledo at the time. So I remember being kind of intimidated by her in the beginning because I was like, oh no, she's already won another crown and like none of us here have done anything yet. But then what's amazing about that is that when you go in completely kind of innocent to what could happen, you make some of the best friends ever possible. So Nicole Borromeo was my first runner-up. She's now going to be my maid of honor at my wedding.
Oh,
So
congratulations,
is my
Gav.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. My second runner-up will also be my maid of honor at my
Mm.
wedding. Miss Jeanette from Miss Mandawi will be a principal sponsor at my wedding. So it's just a lot of
It's like a
so much of who I
reunion for
am.
Miss Mandaue.
Yes, exactly. So much of who I am is rooted from that pageant, not because of any other reason, but like I established my charity work from that pageant and just everything, like the foundation of who I am is really from that first competition and nothing will ever compare. As much as I love my job now and as much as I love Miss Cebu, but still Miss Mandawi for me at that time was really the best. And in fairness, I really think that batch of mine was really, really good.
Actually, yes. So the 2018 batch. Daghan kay
Yes.
ninyo ron nga kanang, they're doing really well and they're doing really good and they're still continuing their legacy. They have their own advocacies and the outreach. By the way, what was your advocacy during the Miss Mandaue 2018?
So it's the same as what it is now. It's still environmental sustainability.
Okay.
I had focused on that because I was a nursing student at the time, and I had we had this part of our school where we had to go into the community. So I we had to interview the community and ask them for their three biggest needs. And this was
Mm.
also in Mandaue. I think it was in Barangay Tipolo.
Mm.
I am not, if I'm not mistaken. And they were saying that their garbage was not thrown on time, that even if they're promised garbage collection, it wasn't picked up at the right time, so it would build up like crazy. And I figured, okay, if I'm gonna be Miss Mandaue now, and there's actual citizens in Mandaue who told me this is their problem, I might as well do something about it. So that's where it came from. I think that goes with this the thought that a lot of times you see a lot of girls coming up with advocacies because it's what they are passionate about, which is important. But I think sometimes you also have to see what is the immediate need of the people themselves and try to do something about that. So I wasn't an eco sustainable freak or fan before, but because they had mentioned it, I started to also see the gravity of the problem and wanted to do something directly about it.
So you were a nursing student. Cebu Doctors or Velas? What?
Yes,
Cebu
Sibudok.
Doctors. Okay.
Committed
Oh,
Sibudok all the way.
I was a graduate of Cebu Doctors University College of Nursing in 1996. So,
Wow, yeah.
parihara, alma mater.
That's kind of near my mom, actually. I think my mom was 1994.
Oh, 2 years. I'm like 2 years. She was 2 years behind me. Oh no. Yeah,
Older than you.
I'm older. Suniza, right? Yeah, I
Yes,
think
yes.
I know her. Okay, I was in first year. She was already in third year. I think she was the batch nila ni Pamela Bukoy. I don't. You might want to ask your mom if kabatch ba sila ni
I will
Pamela.
ask her later, yeah.
Eh di Pamela Bukoy. Nila ni I think ni sa tawagan ni Fatima Gars Gases. I think kana sila nga batch or either that younger. Either og kang Yada, if I'm not mistaken, Yada Kittelstead, now the Mrs. Romualdez. So, but anyway, so I think sa nursing, it was the community. nursing that we have, and then
Yes, exactly.
immersion towards the
Immersion.
community, wherein we go to the different what you call this one, barangay health rural centers, where nga mag house to house ta, if kanang nahinumdum na nimo siya. But when did you, after pag nursing nimo, what year is it ba nga ning kuan ka, ni continue ka, ni pursue ka sa imong um pagka-doctor, pagka-medical student?
Right after. So I graduated nursing in the pandemic. I graduated in 2020. So we were in the
2020.
middle of our clinical rotations, about to graduate, and then the lockdown was called. So because of the lockdown, my mom discouraged me from working right away as a nurse because she was like, imagine your first work experience will be during a pandemic. And, I was planning on working abroad in the US. And so, I trust my mom so much. So I listened to her, and I was thinking, okay, so what am I going to do with my time now? And at first, I had no idea. I was like, will I wait till I take the boards? Will I even take the boards here if I don't really plan on working here? Because I am an American citizen, so I could go back whenever I wanted. But, the doors open for me to go into med school. Even if we lacked a bunch of the paperwork that we needed to go in, they made everything conditional enrollment so that even if you lack your transcript of records, even if you lack your NMAT, you can still sign up as long as when you take your NMAT, if you fail it, then you have to be kicked out. And then if
Yeah.
you pass it, then you can stay. So I took that as a sign that, I think I'm supposed to do medicine because there was nothing stopping me. Like every closed door that could have been in front of me for med completely went open. And so I said, you know what? I think this is what's supposed to happen. And my family promised that they could help get me through med school. So I said, if I have this kind of opportunity, why not? So I went in, and first 2 years were online, and then third year was hybrid, and fourth year was 24 to 30-hour duty. So very, very wide spectrum of experiences in med school, but I loved it a lot. I learned so much, and I'll carry that with me for forever.
Gab, given the fact that you are a nursing graduate, I always believe that nursing graduates always have this values. Do you think that the values that we have as in the medical field, not just in nursing, but even in medical, being a doctor, are these values ba somehow it helped you with your journey being a pageantera, or being a candidate rather?
So much. It's most importantly the side of medicine, that medicine and nursing, anything in the hospital-based setting, is really the skill of empathy. They really push in nursing that you cannot sympathize, you have to empathize. So you can't sit there next to your patient and cry because they're crying, but you have to sit there, not cry, but also understand very deeply what they're going through and see things from their perspective without letting it also get to you that much. I would say that that's helped me, number one, in my advocacy work.
Right.
I do feel for a lot of the people that I come into contact with, but not to the point where, I waste my time by being really emotional about it and not actually moving and doing something. The other part that the empathy helps me with is when I'm going through hardship as well, because I'm humbled enough by seeing life and death in the same day, seeing a kid being born on the beginning of the day, and
Right.
then maybe a mother dying at the end of the day. So it really makes me humble enough to recognize that my problems during the pageant of like not having an outfit, or maybe not having shoes that match, are really, really small. And it's not to also negate the fact that those times are stressful, but I guess also to have a bit more hope that if we can see sometimes miracles happening in the hospital, then easily a miracle can happen if I don't have an outfit. And that really carried me through MUPH, because MUPH is really the most taxing pageant on my body that I've ever experienced in my whole life. You're waking up sometimes at 2:30 in the morning to get your makeup done after your shoot ended at maybe 10 p.m. It was really hard, but then at the same time, I had so much hope because I knew that if I conquered, working in the hospital for how many hours, then for sure this is like nothing. I get to be pretty, I get to be, jolly and happy all the time, and it's it's like almost like going through clerkship again, but now, getting to do it with one of the dreams that I've carried for quite a few years. So I would say that super, super big impact on my life from the medical field into pageantry. And I think for the rest of my life, not even just in pageantry.
That would also include respect and professionalism, especially with time. Kaya di ba sa nursing, og
Oh,
malate
yes.
ka,
Good.
remember, if malate
Yeah.
ka or absent ka, doble imuhang bayad nga duty. So
Yeah.
maninguha jud ka nga on time jud ka kung mahimo an hour or 30 minutes before time na anak ka. And I think that's one of the practices that we have as in nursing and in med school nga atong madala kanang mo appeal ta og contest or pageant or whatever it is nga kanang kung or even an interview job interview nga kinahanglan earlier than the call time na anata to prep ourselves. I think those are the mona siya kana kay mona akong pinaka main actually. It's the
I know.
respect
I'm
of
trying to
time.
learn. Trying to learn sometimes like how to because I'm always on time, and
Yeah.
sometimes when you're on time all the time, sometimes it starts to feel a little bit unfair because you're on time, and then there are a lot of people who are not going to be on time because they don't come from a background where it matters
Yes.
that much. So I come with understanding, but at the same time I'm trying to learn like how can I be a little bit slower so that maybe I don't have to wait so long
I
in
know,
the
yeah. Yeah, we
yeah,
have
that's the
actually the same
downside.
problem
Yeah.
sometimes. Kaya ako kuan kiko importante kay nako. Time is gold really. I
Yeah.
would much rather nga ako'y maghuwat kaysa ako ang huwaton. Kay murag
Yes.
maikog ko, murag ina na ba? And I think I got that also not just from my dad but I got that sa training when it comes sa nursing nga. Yeah, mas daghan sa kag mabuhat. 'Di ba? Prior if you're
Yes.
like earlier, you can actually prepare, you can breathe in and breathe out, relax. So by the time magsugod na dili kayo magkapakapa na, especially og kanang mag-duty with all those requirements and all those things. And then mausab kay ang imuhang kuha nga pasyente ay wala naman na discharge naman nga ikahuman ang imong 'di ba kay a day before man na usually remember that one and then ini ka on the day hala wala na ni nga pasyente so mangita na sa kaglain nga pasyente kay kinahanglan ka so I think that's one of those nga murag naka-advantage pod og kanang you come earlier and you manage also your time. Now let's move on to nag-medicine ka no and then this was when you joined Miss Cebu 2022. Lisod man yung kayo ng medicine as in pag-memorize palandaan sa mga tambas, microbiology as in, even with nursing, mo ni usa ka subject, labi na ng pharmacology mo, yun ambot lang kanang labad yung kayo na tanan. How did you manage your time? How did you go about it? Knowing labi na second year, kanang na manghag sa samot na og kanang mupadung na sa ka third year because I think it's actually more on the third year, second year, third year nga murag lisod. For nursing, it was second year, third year. Medicine, I think, is the same thing.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you manage it? How did you go about it, especially with the pageant?
Yeah, so of course the upside that I will have, over anyone else who is in med school today who wants the same thing is that the advantage I had was that we were very much so online in the beginning of second year. So I could do class wherever I wanted as long as I had signal. So I remember there was one time that I joined class while we were on a yacht we were shooting our evening gowns videos of our evening gown for Miss Cebu's coronation night. I did an exam in Singapore, um, online
Okay.
also. I would join class backstage of a fashion show, and I think it's really all about managing your time, and I know it's really easier said than done, but
Yes.
I had a really very very good sense of time management during the pandemic because I didn't have to take into account commuting when it came to class in the morning. So when I would go to sleep at night, I would write down my entire schedule for the day after, even until the smallest detail, like wake up, brush teeth, all that. It sounds a little bit like very type A, but then I was super into checking things off of my to-do list. And so the night before, my brain was already prepared what I would have to do the following day. So I would do everything that I had to do. Sometimes I would get home at like 8, 9, or 10 p.m. and I still had to study for something the next day. But because I knew that there was literally no other choice that I had, like that's the only time spent I had to work, then I had to make sure that the way that I studied was quality studying. I used this method called the Pomodoro method of studying, which
Mm.
is 25 minutes on and then 5 minutes off. So I would have this app called Forest on my phone. So if you press start, the app starts growing a little tree. And if you get distracted, the tree dies. So I, of course, and then if you want to give up, na dyan button that says give up. And of course,
Right.
taas man kog pride. So I'm gonna mo give up man ko. So, ni continue
Gamisin
lang
na
gid siya
natay
grow.
ego gamay ba?
Yes, exactly. And then after the 25, 5 minutes of rest, and then 25 again, and then 10 minutes of rest, so a bit longer. So, of course, the thing that there's always something that has to be sacrificed, and I knew that it was a seasonal thing. So, what to sacrifice, of course, was time with my family. I really didn't get to spend much quality time with them because I was either at an event while in class or I was at home and studying. So, I didn't really get to spend that much time with them, but they just tried to remind myself that this is just a temporary thing. And they were also very supportive and very understanding. So, yeah, that's how I did it. And to be honest, I think it really my grades were actually higher during Miss Cebu than any other time in med school, and I think that's really because of the quality of my studying. My highest exam that whole year was when I was in Singapore. Ni anak ko, maybe I should just be in Singapore all the
All the
time.
time. Na siguro yung lucky charm, kumbaga, ang Singapore.
I don't know. We were there because it was this is already after winning Miss Cebu that we had a free trip to Singapore.
Mm.
And so it just timing the night exam on the Saturday of our weekend trip. So I told them that you guys can go out, but for this morning, I'll just stay here. I'll catch up with you later because I have an exam this morning. So at that time, it was Mayor Mike Rama who was with us
Yes.
in Singapore because he had a meeting. And until now, whenever he tells the story, when he sees me, he's always like, this girl, she's very, very responsible. She even left us in Singapore to take an exam. So it's a core memory for him also.
To see you always, with your laptop, instead of having fun or instead of going, you have to be really focused. Kay, syempre, no, atong grado, nagdepend, bisa tinuog online. I think, the younger generation, especially kaning mga nag-college na to, karon should take a cue from you. Kay, there are a lot of katong pag-pandemic pod nga, ang mga batanon is kanang mag-online exam, ipang-off ang mga video, kay para di makita, nga di ay tuto pa naghigda pa. But, ang, but naminaw ra sa maestra. Basta as long as naka-kuan lang ka, nga naa ka diha, naka-join ka sa Zoom meeting, pero, and then sometimes ang study habit is kanang atras. Murabag, pwede rin natunan as long as the whole day rabitaw na naara na diha, ansira na namang quizzes, which I think mo, labi na karon with the earthquake and everything, I think dapat na disiplina with the online class, and later on we will talk about that one. Mas maayo nga imuha ng nahisgutan ng online kay
Yeah.
a lot of students right now, usahay ka ng katugan lang ang klase, nagklase ra diha ang maestra, nga ikaw man natulog lang estudyante.
In fairness, I won't say that I've never done that. I have done that. I have done that, especially if it's a topic that lisod gyud kay siya i-grasp, like
Yeah.
biochemistry.
Yeah, you and me
Yeah,
both,
that
as
was
in.
too hard. So I was like, oh, I give up. I'm not gonna listen. I'll just read the slides when the
Right.
exam comes out. But I think yeah, we can talk about it later. I just think it's a whole different ball game now with AI. I think that
Yes.
that's very different. I did not have ChatGPT until after graduating med.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
around, but it was not as accessible.
Right.
So very different now compared to when I was in school. And it's
Uh,
just been a few years.
right. And me, I've never accessed this. I don't even know about it. And then my kids, they sometimes they call me Mama Chat GPT. I'm the Chat GPT actually. you know, sa balay. But me, I've never, because for me, it defeats the purpose of learning, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, it may have its advantage, but I'd rather stay old school because mas maayo mo pakli ka og libros, mas maayo nga mubasa jud ka, mas daghan kang mas ma-learn. And then with the online, with the shift to online, there are a lot of there not really a lot, but rampant kayo ang academic dishonesty that's been going on. So, later on, inig pangumusta na to sa Cebu. Those are gonna be one of our
Yeah.
topics with that one. So, online class, and then eventually, mo na dayon to, nakadaog. Tell me about your journey with Miss Cebu.
Yeah, so Miss Cebu was really cool because I was the first Miss Cebu after 6 years of it being gone. And so it was kind of a big deal. I remember hearing about it a few months earlier. It was just more of hearsay that it might happen, and they were even considering Mr. and Miss Cebu at that time. And at first, when I heard Mr. and Miss, I didn't really want to join because I was like, "Who's gonna be like? So what? I have to be partnered with someone or something." And so eventually, when they officially posted that Miss Cebu was happening, I had no there was zero part of me that hesitated at all because I really felt like I really wanted to do it. And so when I went into the screening room, I remember, after you're a reigning queen for any pageant, you kind of forget what it's like to be a candidate again. And that's not even because it's not even because like your ego is higher, but it's because you get comfortable afterwards where you're not pressured anymore. A lot of people know you as this certain title holder. And so when I went into the screening room for Miss Cebu, I remember feeling like, oh shoot, I'm back here again. Why do I put myself in this position all the time? But then I remember going into the room, and one nice thing about being in the industry for as long as I have, I started modeling in 2016. So seeing the panel of judges, I relatively knew everyone. Not like we were super close, but at least everyone I was kind of familiar with everyone in the screening panel. And not to say that I felt like that served me any kind of advantage in terms of on their end, but on my end, I felt like it was easier for me to open up.
Yes.
I didn't feel like I was speaking to, these professionals that I know nothing
You
about
felt
that
at
I'm trying
home,
to prove
actually.
something to. Yeah, I felt really at home. And after I was the very last to screen, like
Oh,
the super
okay.
last. Um, was it yeah, it was a super last to screen. I don't think we meant for that to happen. We just took way too long doing makeup. So when I arrived there, I was like the last in the line. And then after I screened, everybody came in, and then they saw everybody, we all had to walk in front of them. We must have been 40 plus that day. I think I was number 44. So crazy the amount of people who screened that year. And I've been since then I was always on the screening panel and never saw a year again that many girls had screened. So it was a really nice thing. And then during after Miss Cebu itself, I just remember feeling really, I guess I felt like I was really of use to the org because they really invite us to all of the LGU events. We host a lot of their events. It's really like a job. It's not something that is, just smile and wave and that's it. No, we
Right.
really had, things that we did. We did fashion shows. We were always like first to be invited to a lot of fashion shows. And my court at that time, I feel really lucky because every time I joined a pageant here in Cebu, I always had the best girls in my court who
Actually,
not
yes.
only
Come to
were,
think of it.
yeah,
Right.
they're not only just beautiful, but all of them were very purposeful. So I established the Green Wave with Nicole Borromeo and Regine Garcia in Miss Mandaue. In Miss Cebu, we did an outreach for Santa Rita de Cascia Center for Women and Children. So um, we hosted a fundraising dinner at Cebu Ocean Park, and then with that, we were able to raise money to buy literacy things for the kids. So a study table, rugs, and bean bags, and we made a whole reading corner there. We did a book drive, and then we filled the study corner with all of the books that we collected. So we it was just so amazing. And then now what's crazy about all of these girls in my Miss Cebu court, everyone is a professional. We have, we were completely full of medical background people except one. We had a psychologist, we had me who was in med, we had one who was taking the PT licensure exam, one who was a nurse who also took the licensure exam. Now we have a few FAs. So everyone really just like that whole batch was really shining after Miss Cebu. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really, really lucky with the girls I get to work with after the pageant happens.
I For me, Miss Cebu 2022 was actually in the books for me. Why? Because that was the time that Miss Cebu paid tribute to Jonas actually, and
Yes.
that was the first time after the pandemic. Actually, with Miss Sinbet, they Jonas and Miss Sinbet did talk about kanang ibalik ang Miss Cebu uh, a year before he died, 2019, 2020. But then pandemic came, and of course we lost him in 2020. And when pag I watched it actually, I was there.
Fort San Pedro
Yes, and then if you remember, I was the personality development
workshop. Yep.
speaker in the workshop for that one. So in 2022, kami ni Mami Tison and kami ni Carla, Mami Carla Supercell.
Yeah.
So even though wala na si Mami Jonas, the whole team with was there, na it felt like uh, Mami Jo was there with us. So it was one for the books for me, and it was really emotional, especially when they paid tribute to her, to Jonas, and then eventually you won the crown. Actually, naglingkod ko, tupad ko, nasa luyo na ako sila ni Mami Romil, kaya nasa diha ang mga makeup artist, ang Moxie. Nagtulo gyud akong luha labi na pag-announce nga kanang kuan walay kabutangan ang ako ang kalipay pag kuan niya murag kanang instrumental kayo siya ba nga kan bang was it a symbol, was it something nga murag uh tribute to Mommy Jo, and then you won, so
Yeah, and I
murag
remember the tribute was when we were still backstage when that happened, and I was with Mami Malaika
mm,
because Mami Malaika had another candidate. And then I was like tearing up there, but I was like looking up so that the tears won't ruin the makeup. So they never fell. The tears never fell, but it was just welling up here at the bottom of my
yeah.
eye. And then Ate Carla was the one who was talking about it. But I'm like, wow, that's so hard. Like, I don't know how you can do that.
Anyway, um before we move on, Gab, I would just like to say thank you or acknowledge we have some gift sender or nag-send og gifts. Okay. Dili kay ko familiar ani mga ingon ani kay si Raf man ni siya. Naa sa atong TikTok live. So, they are sending gifts. I just would like to say hello to Jason. Jason. Hi Jason, thank you for sending gifts sa ato ang TikTok live. And then we're naatay ko nag-say hi, hello sa ato ang Facebook. Oh, okay. So, thank you. And for those who are tuning in, sending more gifts, thank you so much for that one. So, again, maayong hapon nato sugbo. This is Miss G, and you are tuning in on Miss with Miss G here at TMC 105.1 FM, the most Cebu conversations. We are live streaming on Tops Media Center, FB, TikTok, and the YouTube channel. And of course, with me this afternoon is Dr. Gabby Carvalho. So, Gab, you were already in second year. Second year ba? College?
Yes, second
Yeah,
year.
second year.
Pag Miss Cebu,
Mm-mm.
second year medicine.
Medicine. Okay, I'm sorry. Second year college. Second year medicine, rather. So, after winning the Miss Cebu, you were of course nag-focus na ka sa imuhang med, and then you pass. How did it came to being you decided to join Miss Universe Cebu or Miss Universe Philippines in 2025?
Well, it was a very thought out decision because there's a lot of pageants now. It's not like before that there was Bini Bini where you can join one pageant and then you have a chance to win all these different kinds of crowns. So it was a really a whole thing for me that I knew I wanted to do nationals. I knew that I had the skill set to do nationals, but I didn't know which one to join.
Mm.
And when it came to the timing also of everything, you know, I didn't know if I wanted to take the boards first and then do the pageant, or if I should do the pageant right after I graduate. But there was, for some reason, a sense of urgency that I felt that made me do it after I graduated. I just realized also that, I'm already, now I'm 27. At that time I was 25, and I was when I was deciding, and I there's a lot of things that have become also very important to me in my life. I do want to get married and I want to have children. And so
Right.
having to weigh out all of those decisions, the best decision for me was to join right after graduation, because I can become a doctor at whatever stage of my life, but I can only join Miss Universe Philippines at this time of my life. And I really believe that the way that life has set me up, and my maturity up until now, really prepared me to be in Miss Universe Philippines at the time that I did join. So the thing is I wanted to be appointed. I ideally did not want to join again at the local level, not just because it wasn't again a pride thing. It was more of like, what if it were not to go in my favor at the local level? Who knows? Maybe there was some girl that I never met who suddenly just showed up and could completely change the game for me. And when I knew that I had could do nothing about it, I said, you know what, maybe this is happening for a reason also. So when I finally, after I graduated, I went on a trip abroad for like a few weeks, and then I came back and I said, this it's time to start preparing. So I really had to break down everything that I've done in previous years and go back to square one. I treated my walk like I've never walked on a stage before,
Mm-hmm.
completely broke it down all the way to pinaka basic skills, because sometimes when good, when you've won a few times, you think that you're okay na,
Right.
but I really had to remind myself that like this is a whole other ball game going into nationals. Even if I had to join MUP Cebu, I really had the mindset that I'm really going to be the representative for Miss Universe Philippines, specifically holding the sash of Cebu. So which that's a really big weight, to hold the Cebu sash. So I really prepared super hard. So when I did MUP Cebu, I screened for it. I went through the whole process of it. I did everything, and of course, my biggest competitor there was Chella, which we became very close friends. And so I was so excited when we were both crowned, meaning we were both getting to go there together to MUP. So by the time that we were both crowned, I was just really I teared up a little bit. Yeah, I did cry after MUP Cebu. And that was because, imagine if I didn't make it and I would have delayed my postgraduate internship for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It would have felt really, really defeating. And I would have been like, Lord, so why did you make me leave Med at all if I wasn't even going to be able to make it to MUP? But it was given to me. So that's how I knew, like, okay, I'm really, really meant to be there on the national stage. So finally, going into nationals, people don't know pageants now are very expensive.
Yes, it
It's
is.
not that it's not like before where you wear the same t-shirt every day with just different colored jeans or something. It's not like that. You need to prepare everything. And so I got really lucky with titas and titos everywhere, batchmates of my
Yes.
mom, and
Mm-mm.
and and aunts and uncles from abroad who were all sending in like whatever they could to help me. So that really carried me through the entire journey there in Manila.
And it was three
I
months, right? Usually,
3 months,
yeah.
yeah. And so it was really hard because after the coronation of Cebu, you have to submit your all of your videos and your headshot by February 1. So I had basically 1 month to do everything, which other girls had it worse. They had like days to do theirs, but mine still, I was like, wow, I really can't rest right now. So I think I filmed my tourism video, everything in one day on January 17th. So we
And
only
then you
had like a
wrote the
leeway of
script
a
for
few
this
days.
one, right?
I did. I wrote the script for my tourism video. I directed my tourism video. It was easy because, I've lived here in Cebu for just the right amount of time where yes, I may not have been born here, but I haven't been here long enough to not like it. Because I feel like a lot of the
True.
people who maybe were born and raised, they're like, I want to leave here. I don't like it. It's so disorganized or whatever. But me, like I feel like I still have those rose-colored glasses on that, this is I mean, now I've gotten exposed to Manila, but I still love it so much more here in Cebu. I love that everything's familiar to me.
It
I
just
can
have a different
drive
feel,
if I
right?
want to. Yeah, yeah. Like for me, my choices of life are Cebu or abroad. If I'm in the Philippines, I need to be here in Cebu. So it was really easy for me to write the script, but what was in my mind is, how can I promote Cebu in a way that's different from everybody before me when all of my artists that have competed are iconic, like all of them, Chris, Steffi, Bea,
Right.
everybody has done such a good job. And so I'm like, so what can I do? I watched all of their videos and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what they don't have yet is everybody shows the same thing, which everybody knows Cebu very well for lechon, sinulog, for colon and everything, but nobody knows like one thing in fashion shows when we have models from other cities who come here to do fashion shows, they get surprised that we have a lot of buildings. And so I said, you know what, maybe the Philippines needs to know more about how much we've progressed already,
Yeah,
that we're
all
really
the
not.
infrastructure rather. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love places like that. I mean, and I feel like it also matches a lot with me and who I am. It's not necessarily to say that like we completely brush off the old. I think that Cebu does a really good job at trying to integrate both the old and the new and putting them together in its infrastructure. So that's what I really wanted to show. Like we're such a lifestyle focused place. It's a lot here about how to live, to really live, and that's what I wanted to portray. So that's why I wanted to show that, and also to try to convince people from abroad, like don't be scared to come to Cebu because we have a lot of things here for you to be
Right.
comfortable.
Mhm.
You're not going to be living in a way that's uncomfortable. You can really find places here that you will feel safe and that you will have a nice place to stay. And yeah, I was really happy about that.
Um, what about your training in Manila? They have we have a different training here when you were in Cebu, but once you're there in Manila, they have really rigid and different training. Um, Sometimes ang mahitabo man gud sa kandidata kay syempre nag-training na diri sa Cebu, we have our own team nga nag-training ta. Mag inig training sad inig abot sa Manila unya ang Miss Universe, they have their own group and they have their own way. Was there a time ba nga usay maglibog ka nga unsa man nga kanang training ang ako kahang i dadon or ang ako ang i gamiton, like for example in the walking, so you started with a different trainer and then inigabot dito sa uh, MUP kay naaman gid sad sila ilahang in-house nga trainer. Yeah, sometimes murabag lain-lain ba yung style? Was this a struggle ba sad sa imuha?
Actually, we actually did not have a trainer there
Mm.
for pasarela that was given to everyone. We were introduced to a trainer from Manila when we were still joining MUP Cebu. So there was a trainer who flew in
Yeah.
and did our pasarela, and I do remember feeling a little bit confused to the point where I went up to my trainer and I said, like, is there a way we can integrate these two things, or should I follow yours, or should I just figure out something? But I really think it's really up to you to figure out who you feel you grow with and who you also feel very yourself with. And that's not to settle also. I think, I did move forward with a different trainer for nationals, and I made that choice because I saw the outcome of so many girls that I've, had joined Miss Cebu after me, and I was so amazed by their transformation that I wanted to try it out. And I definitely think if I did not try it out, if I tried it out and I didn't like it, I would have left. But
Mm.
I was super certain when I had started training that wow, this is something that will really push me because I'm very stubborn. So it will really take someone to be frank with me and to
Right.
be a little bit rude for me to really grasp it. Um,
Well,
and
that's
even
how
though
it is
like
in the States, right? Blunt,
yes, blunt.
we don't get that
So
here so much here in the Philippines because they sometimes they see it as an attack. So.
yeah. So even though, yes, it was offensive in the beginning, but I realized how much it really pushed me, even if it hurt in the beginning. But, I would hear things like, oh, you look like you're just walking in the mall. So I was like, oh, okay. So have to like work a little harder. I remember like my tears would be welling up, but like, that's also another good part of having really high pride sometimes because,
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want you to be right about me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just saw the change, and I think in general, I was just really happy. So what happened in Manila is I had the same trainer who was living with me in my condo. He was also training other girls at the time in the pageant because I told him, you're allowed to train other girls. I'm not stopping you, so that he can also make his own income, which I
Right.
wanted him to be able to earn his own income. But he was staying in my condo, so when I got home, we would train in the kitchen. Randomly, like maybe every other day or something, and it was nice because I always had someone literally right there in my living room
Mm.
that I could train with and practice with. So I was really, I'm so grateful still. I'm so grateful still for have made, so that I made that decision.
Ang nakanindot mo sa good with the pasarela, kay even if you started no the basic and then you went to another trainer and another trainer, what you did was you incorporated all those things that you've learned, and then katulabin na to imong runway challenge, and then I see that trademark of Gabi nga imo yun mismo. Nga iniglakaw nimo naadjud ka, you have that certain walk, you have that certain aura, the command, the presence nga iniglakaw ana nga kay bawd ko nga imuha yun na nga imuha yun na nga lakaw. And I think that's also one of the advantage, though confusing but at first, pero one of the advantage also nga yeah sige lain-lain imong gi-incorporate all those pasarelas that you've learned, but you made it your own nga iniglakaw nimo tatak Gabi Carballo siya nga lakaw. Would you agree ba with me, especially with your runway challenge?
Yeah, and I think that it's also about, keeping true to yourself, but also unlocking a side that will shock people a little bit. Everyone
Yes.
kind of knew me from Miss Cebu as a very sweet girl.
Uh-huh.
And so it really took pushing for me to really unlock the powerful side of things. That's why it's really important. I think if anybody looks for a trainer for pasarela, or even if like you just want to learn how to walk in heels and you want to just have that as a woman as something that makes you feel more confident, look for someone who doesn't copy paste a way of walking onto you, but
Mm-hmm.
really assesses the way your natural anatomy, your natural, the
Right.
where you manage your weight.
Mm-mm.
It cannot just be copy paste. It has to be like an actual assessment of your natural state and then trying to tweak it in a way that looks nice. So I think that that's what like I am really lucky. I feel really grateful that I had people around me who really could see that for themselves. Because sometimes, as a girl, you can't always see those things and you don't know how far you can go unless somebody really pushes you to get there.
True, that's very true. And it's really one thing. It was so nice to look at you, especially grabe. I was mesmerized by the runway walk. It was one also. If I was asked sa mga runway challenge or runway walk, kinsa sa Cebuana, it's actually you and Steffi, because you have that uniqueness sa imuha pod. And then sa kan Steffi said na asad siya sa iyaha pod
Yeah, she
niya. Oo.
does.
And then with Ate Chris, she has the classic walk actually.
Yeah.
Difference at ang iyahasad niya yun, Ana. But with all three of you walking, mailhan yun niya, makaila kami sa shadow lang, si Gabi na,
Yeah.
si Chris na, si Kuya, si Steffi na. So these are things nga, kanang uniquely, or kumbaga sui generis kaayo sa inyo ha. And then, it's not just one, it's not just actually also the walk, it's the personality that you have and bringing your personality into that walk, into that pasarela. And yes, again, you are right nga dapat ang pasarela, it has to be in accordance sa imuhang body, which is ang kay body mechanics pa na kung sa nursing pa na nato na gitawag og
Mhm.
body mechanics kay naiuban scoliotic, naiuban dili scoliotic, naiuban they have a different form sa body. So dili tanan nga kanang mo apply. Yes, tudloan mo no basic, but dili tanan mo apply. Lain-lain yun kada usa. And I think you've captured that one. In fact, si kabatch man mo ni Telma, no?
Yes,
Right? Oh,
yes,
si Telma sad na asad siya iyahang koan for somebody
yes.
who's so young, ha? Naasad siya iyahang unique nga na walk. And then si Doc Juvel also have that sa iyahasad niya koan. And then si Doc Juvel of Gibisi in town sa bantayan in
Yes,
town
I
dito
saw her.
kay
I was with
yeah.
her.
Yeah, I saw the post nga kamunduhain ko ay inta ang mga doktora. Oo, kay taga
Yeah.
didto man na siya taga norte inta mo nang nabisi sa town siya didto. Anyway, moving forward sa imuhang experience, it's one of the longest, especially the 3 months. So kanang draining siya no, not just financially, of course, but overall you did enjoy it despite the fact nga strenuous siya kay di isa ka makaingon pud no nga dili siya stress. Naagid siya stressful sa jud siya gamay, no? With all the time.
Yeah, it was you know, one thing Ate Chris helped me a lot in terms of mental preparation for it, because you know she literally competed the year before me, so she's the
Yes.
best person for me to grab advice from, and she really told me about how draining it was mentally. And so what was really important to me that I set my mind to since the beginning was that I don't want this to start feeling like a chore. I wanted to feel like it is a dream, not just getting a crown, but also the process of even being there was already a dream itself. And if there are some interviews that I did with the pageant media there, in which, you know, they were like, "How are you?" And you'll never see me answer it saying that I'm tired or that I'm, you know, drained. Because for me, what was big is the words that I spoke out really would dictate the way that I felt. And so even when I would get home from a very long day and, you know, my trainer was in my house, he could tell physically that I was tired, but when he would say, "Gab, how are you?" I'm like, "I'm okay." I would never ever say it out loud that I'm really tired. And not only that, like even if I only got a few hours of sleep, my prayer at night would be like, "Lord, just wake me up feeling rested tomorrow. I don't care how many hours I have of sleep now, but as long as tomorrow I have enough energy to do what I need to do, then it's okay." And the times that I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning, because basically the setup there is that things are by batch for the shoots, like the sponsor shoots. So if you're in first batch, it's because the sponsor probably wants you in their commercial. So
Right.
usually the ones who they favor or maybe they like or something are in batch one. So I was batch one almost every single time except for one shoot, I think. And so meaning I always had the earliest call time. And that would mean that I had to do makeup earlier. So there was one morning that I had to wake up at 2:30. It was so dark outside, obviously, and I was really like, "Oh, I really don't want to get up." That was the words in my head, but I really had to tell my, like, honestly, the thought that came in my mind is you have a whole island waiting for you to get up. Like that was what was in my brain. Like this whole entire island. I know that not everybody here in Cebu watches pageants, but everybody hears about pageants.
Mhm.
And I know that they see the updates about me on like news outlets or something. So I think yeah, the voice in my mind was like, there are people who are waiting for your output today. And so it didn't feel heavy. It was actually what pulled me out of bed that morning. That, you know, it's not, but that's the beautiful thing about nationals, is that you really have this whole really big group of people who are waiting to see what you have prepared and the output of the energy that you have in the morning. So I really held that dear. So I never ever once felt um drained to the point where I wanted to give up. I actually was very consistently in a positive mood the entire time. And I think that's why my performance on finals was like it was, because I still carried that with me. You know, it's easy to practice smiling and it's easy to practice like all of those emotion factors of your walk, but there's nothing like it when it's real. And I think a lot of people can tell that that night I was really having the time of my life.
Yes,
Clearly.
it shows actually in your face and
Yeah.
abot sa imong mata. So the way you walk, very very authentic, it's like you're having the time of your life, as in you were having fun. And I think Mommy Jonas would always say nga, when you walk, when you go out, dapat always have fun. Kana nga happy, di ba? Mo ana gina siya mula ka happy nga na. So murag
Yeah.
it's always that one nga kanang murag dili na siya part ba, murag dili siya chore. Yeah,
And
that's
it's easier said than done because, you know, you have trainers who are teaching you all of these, you know, moves that they want you to use on stage. And sometimes if you don't follow it, yes, maybe
right.
they will be a little bit disappointed that the thing that you practice all those times are not used. But one thing that Ate Chris told me, which really stuck with me, is that, you know, these people, these trainers have never walked in your position. They
Correct.
don't know what it's like to be in front of the entire crowd, to have nerves and excitement all intertwined. So even if, you know, you just have to trust, and they also have to trust that you did all the work you could. You've done it until muscle memory, at least for your strides and all that. So if something gets in the way, let's say you forget your choreo or something, as long as you know and really hold dear that you practiced that hard for something, it's really okay if it's not completely perfect. You know, during MUP Cebu, Ate Chris was telling me, you still look a little bit robotic on stage. I can tell that you're practicing it in your mind. And so when it came to MUP, I really let go completely. I remember I don't know what number I was in the top 20 before we went out for swimsuit, but I was comforting the girl in front of me because she was nervous. Then I realized, why am I confronting her? Like, I mean, comforting her. Like, shouldn't I be comforted also or
At the
something?
same
But no, I
time,
was
yeah.
so, yeah, I was so safe and I was so happy with where I was that I was like, so I had enough to give to other people, but like I still had enough peace for me to try to share that peace with my co-candidates. So that's really where my mentally I was in the best state of mind that night of my whole life. You know, of course there will always be things you want to change. There's always going to be things you say, "Oh, I could have done this differently," but still no regrets for me. Like no, there's nothing that I did on the stage that I regretted whatsoever
It
on
is as it
coronation night.
should be.
Yeah, I let go everything and I said, you know, I'm in the place where I'm meant to be. I've been guided here. I left med school. You know, there's nothing. I put all my eggs in one basket. So this is really where I need to place all of my heart. And that's why even until now, sometimes I rewatch the performance. There's no other pageant that I've joined that I can rewatch it without cringing. I cringe sometimes at Miss Mandawi because, you know, I was so shy in swimsuit that my
Yeah.
poses were very, very fast. In
Uh-huh.
Miss Cebu, I got tangled in my gown when I did the turn. It got
Right.
stuck around my feet.
Mhm.
So I cringe at that also, but it's only MUP that I don't cringe at myself.
That's really good to hear. Murag nindo siya ba nga transition na nga, oh, you know what? Just having fun and then lahi man gud ang Miss Mandawi kay first it was your first. So of course tanan-tanan na. Kay wala man ka nakasuway gyud og school base, right? Diretso ka sala sa
I
stage.
did. I did school based, but no training,
No
I think. I did
training.
15 training, yeah.
You did naka-appeal ba ka sa
Miss
Miss Cebu,
Valentine.
Miss Valentine's, right? Mumatat ako sa Miss Nursing. I was like, nasa tungoy sa kundila Miss Nursing. Uh, yes, ni-appeal ka sa Miss Nursing, but no training and all. And then, ikaw nakadaog ato, di ba?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were the one. And then, Miss CDU. Ni-appeal ka Miss CDU?
No, I never
Wala
did.
na. Wala na ka ni-appeal sa
Yeah.
Miss CDU. Miss Valentine's ka. Pero ang Miss Valentine's ba ya is bisag school base siya? Kuan ba ya siya? Medyo angat ba ya siya sa Cebu Doctors? It's one of those pageant nga angat-angat siya gamay sa diod ang ato ang Miss Nursing nga makaingon sa Kubagu. That's where si Mami Tison did my makeup all during that time. Si Mami Jonas,
Wow.
he was the one who did all the kanang mga suotonon and all those things, and si Mami Tison ang iyang gipa-makeup nako kay I think murag katunga time man ni larga man siguro siya. Kay hilig ka na siya ng larga na na mga kilid-kilid ba. Kanang mga baryo-baryo
Yeah.
niya. Kanang mga contest-contest
Yes.
niya. So, si Mami Tison ang ga-makeup nako actually adto. Miss Valentine's during my time. So you did start so with God. Pero dili kay siya ingon ana ka grabe the pressure. It's sa Miss Mandawi. And then of course pag abot na nimo sa Miss Universe, yes, medyo kay dako-dako na gyud kay nga stage but you did not cringe because especially nga murag wala na you're murag na comfortable na ka and then you were prepared. You were really
Yeah.
prepared during that time. So
And it's one of those things that you're like, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
yes.
So there was nothing, you know, a lot of people had, you know, everyone will always have things to say. And a lot of times I heard like, you know, she's like, oh, know when to peak. That was not my attack at all. There was actually no attack like that. What's interesting when it comes to the bigger stages is that yes, social media becomes a very big factor, but who I am at my core, I'm not that into, you know, my social media in terms of curating it, in terms of like doing
Yes.
all that. I
Uh-huh.
also was considering the fact that I had a certain amount of money that I needed to juggle and work with. So in terms of like pasabog, all that, it was, we did what we could, and I had so many wonderful members of the team that either didn't charge or they only charged very, very little. And we did what we could, but at the same time, there were certain things that I was not willing to spend money on. So like there's voting in Miss Universe Philippines. I really told my team, you might as well give the money to me so I can get my makeup done more often rather than spend it there just for voting.
Right.
Because I was like, you know what, let me, instead of spending all the resources there, let me spend my time training so I get into the top six for sure. Like I didn't want to focus on things that didn't actually matter.
Mm-hmm.
In pageants, I've judged pageants, obviously, so I get to see, like, I don't know anything about the girl before she joins and she goes on that stage. So a lot of the times the judges who sit there at your close door interview on coronation night, they either know very little about you or nothing at all. And it's just your responsibility to decide, like, what things are you willing to spend energy on. I didn't want to lose my mental, fortitude over worrying about things that did not matter. So when people saw like, oh, she's knowing when to peak, actually it's not knowing when to peak. It's just that we had a lot of, events where people finally could see
Right.
that I had potential. So Aqua Boracay and Hello Glow fashion show were at the same time. Suddenly all of the challenges came out. The tourism video came out, the intro video came out, and so people were like, "Oh wow, like Cebu is something," but it's like, yeah, it's just it wasn't no one to peak. It's just timing na tanan
Yeah.
nagawas sila at near the end. So I'm grateful also for the brands that asked me to be in the first batch of their shoots, even if they didn't know who I was. I think also being from Cebu was a very big aspect of that because they know that Cebuanos also really pay attention to the pageant. So yeah, it was nice being there as a first timer because actually I think being there as a first timer made me feel like I was in Miss Mandawi again. Like no
Oh,
expectations. Nobody expects anything from me. I'm not someone who's competed before. I'm not someone with a very loud name or
yes.
something. So it was really nice to like kind of be behind the scenes for a while.
And then when did after let's move forward to you being and concentrating becoming a doctor. When did this happen, the board exam?
I did not take the board exam yet. My
Oh, okay.
my
Murag imo sa
batchmates
siyang
just took it.
pa
Yeah, akong
record.
gidelay.
But you're doing the review right now. You're doing.
No, right now, because you would need to do 1 year of PGI
Okay.
before you review and before you take the board. So my batchmates just took their exam and passed
Mm.
last weekend. So for me, it's right now I'm completely immersed in my life as Miss Eco. So
Yes.
I'm busy doing. I judge a lot of pageants here in Cebu. I do a lot of social media now, which is posting for brands and thankfully I've been able to support myself through things like that. I don't ask for things from my family anymore, so I'm really really grateful for that. And I fly back and forth Manila and Cebu because we have
Right.
a lot of guestings there in Manila, and here in Cebu there's some brands that reach out, some events that ask me to host their conventions and stuff like that. So that's where I'm focusing now because I'm a big believer in the fact that like life comes in seasons, and I think if I am in this right now, I don't want to have one foot in the door and one foot out. It's really
Right.
something that I for so long I was like that, one foot in, one foot out when I was still in school, and I think now is the perfect time to live it fully because I have friends that they've been living in Manila for so long and they've done that, but for me the way I look at this is it's really seasonal. So after this ends, I go back to sad to being fully in the hospital. Being in the spotlight is not for me for the rest of my life. That's
Right.
something that I can say. But I'm happy to have experienced this, to be learning so much from it, to get to grow my platform also. I want to have a podcast just like you eventually. Like I want to be able to host my own where I
Right.
talk about,
And you're actually very good when it
what
comes to
matters.
hosting, Gab. Really.
No, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you.
Mm. Okay. So when did the let's go to love life. Okay. Okay. You just said kanina na you're getting married and
Yeah.
congratulations. Yeah. Um so of course, ang akong pangutana is di na siya nagsugod. Uh let's talk a little bit about that one. Okay, of course, na-insert gid na siya no sa time nga nag-pageant ka.
Yeah.
So, and then how is he with you joining the pageant? Kay naiuban ba ya? Kay sa una, I remember Mami Jonas, may na siya. Why boyfriend basta mag-training? Kay makadaot ang boyfriend. But then there are boyfriends also. You know, just like mine during my time sa Miss Mandawi. Nga very supportive. Nga
Yeah.
gamay na lang kuwang mura siya og kanang stylist nako when I joined. So naaingon ana. So when did you meet? How did you meet? And kind of like the timeline lang. And how is he being with holding off lang sa kay mag-focus ako ani, especially nga mo join pa ka og kanang, so, di ba 2026 or is that the title
Yeah,
already?
May
May in
2026 for Miss
2026.
Eco.
Oo.
Yeah.
So of course, hold off kadiyot, but getting there. And also, how does he feel about this as well? So, love life konte. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that
So
one.
yeah, I really, there's a strange understanding, I think, in our industry sometimes. And I remember battling it for a while, even after I got engaged, that like, oh, maybe my worth goes down as a beauty queen once I am tied to a partner. But as I got to explore it a little bit more, I really wondered, it's kind of twisted, how like people think about it that way, that your worth diminishes because you have a partner. When, to be honest, for you to find a good partner is probably one of the most meaningful things you could ever experience in your whole entire life. And
Right.
so, I'm one of those people that I'm very, very open about. We don't post like crazy because I don't also want people to be too invested in that part of my life. But everybody knows as well that I am engaged and I am preparing to get married. And we met actually while I was training for Pasigarbo sa Sogbo 2019,
Oh,
which
okay.
is really funny because I did not want to join that competition at all. Mommy Jonas knows this very well. I only joined it because Mandawi was looking for somebody with roots in Mandawi to compete as their Miss Panagtagbo sa something, Panagtagbo
Panagtagbo sa
Festival.
Subo, yeah. O Panagtagbo Festival.
Yeah, so I did it just purely because Sir Clark from Miss Mandawi really wanted me to do it. So I said, oh, fine, I love him. So I love Sir Clark so much. So fine, I will do it. So I was training in the tourism office there, on top of Land Bank in Mandawi, in the center of Mandawi. And my fiance is actually one of the Wongoys. So they sang the song Why Blima, if you guys know anything about it. But they had a gig there in Mandawi that night while I was training. So that's when he saw me for the first time, but I did
Mhm.
not see him because I was not
Okay.
focusing on that at all.
Uh-huh.
And then timing lang yun na he very like very social media era type of thing. He followed me on Instagram. His whole entire band followed me on Instagram. And
Oh.
then but at that time I was not really interested yet. So he chatted me. I kind of blew him off in the beginning, and then
Oh, you did?
um yeah, like I didn't say no,
Oh.
but clearly in my message I wasn't interested. He asked me where I could buy. I reposted a shirt that was being sold by my friend, and he said, "Where can I buy this shirt, through you or through your friend?" And I said, "Oh, through my friend, because that's the truth."
Uh-huh.
But
Well, he
so
probably
he
knew
never,
that, but he probably knew that,
yeah,
but then you just
but
wanted
he
to.
never bought the shirt because it wasn't
Okay.
through me. So
Okay.
yeah, so then after that, so for a while, like after that there was no interaction until I was placed in one of those shows, like the Pinktober show that
Yes.
usually Mami Dinos and Loren and all of his
Yes.
students. So
Mm-mm.
I was placed there because there was a tita of mine who could not be in the show, so she asked me if I could fill in her spot.
Okay.
And then also, Kyle's sister was placed in the show because her mom did not want to be in the show. So the sister saw me, and then I never got to talk to her because I was working on editing a video for the Green Wave at the time. So earphones in, I was editing, but she got to talk to my mom a lot. And then when she came home, she told Kyle, like, there's this girl I think you might like. And then Kyle ended up saying, no way. I already tried chatting her. So nag-align ilang stories
Yeah.
na ako
Uh-huh.
gihapon.
Uh-huh.
So after that, he chatted me again. I forgot what the reason was. Ah, yeah, there was a we have a funny fun fact. We have a shared nephew, but we are not related. So
Mm.
I am related to Paul Jake Castillo's mom,
Yeah.
and Kyle is related to Paul Jake's dad.
Dad, yeah.
So we have one common nephew through
Mm-hmm.
each of our families. So
Yeah.
I replied to his story when I saw the kid. I was like, "Is that so and so?" And he was like, "Yeah." Even if he already know that we were like connected in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, the chat never ended. And now
Mm.
we're here 6 years later and engaged and getting married next year.
Oh, that's so nice, and congratulations once again. But
Thank
tell
you.
me, of course, pag Miss Cebu mo, the journey,
Yeah, he was
pag Miss,
there.
he was there. How is he as a boyfriend sa usa ka kandidata? Kay usually man
He,
gyud sometimes na mga storya nga uh, sa time, a constraint, especially og kanang mga out of town or labi nagmoad to nag national. Did you have also that struggle ba with the sa inyuhang?
I never felt that. Like, there
Mm.
was never a time that I felt not supported. There was never a time I felt like he was demanding more time from me. He also was the one who went through, my clerkship of medicine with me. So
Mm.
I was going through 30-hour duty, and he would visit me at the hospital. I would go to his car like in the middle of the night. Like, he would give me snacks, he'd give me coffee, he would give me stuff like that. I would stay within the car just taking deep breaths for like 15 minutes, and then he would leave. So when I was a candidate, meron na siya like breath of fresh air compared to what I went through in
Yeah.
clerkship. So he was, he posted a video that went viral on TikTok. He would steam my dresses. He would get my food deliveries for me from the
Uh-huh.
lobby of my condo in Manila.
You have your
He
own personal yaya sa
yeah,
pageant world, di ba? Yaya may tawag sa pageant world. Uh,
yeah. So, like, imagine in the beginning of Miss Universe Philippines, he was there every weekend. He would fly from Cebu to Manila almost every weekend just so that I would have him there. And so it was, my mom was with me the whole time, but I think it was really different having him, physically there. And of course, we didn't have that much time to talk or whatever, but he's always had a very big understanding of the bigger picture of that, it's just temporary, and like, why stress about the temporary things if we're going to be together forever? So like, there's
right.
really no point in worrying about the small things, as long as we're both respectful of each other. We both update lang from time to time. We've never been the type of people that like the whole day mag-text, like,
Mm.
as in the entire day, like nonstop back and forth. That's very high school, I think, for
Yeah.
me. um, but yes, we all have a phase of that. So not
Mhm.
judging anyone who does still do that. You will grow out of it eventually.
Well, some
But yeah,
doesn't. Some
so yeah,
doesn't actually.
maybe some doesn't, and I hope you're okay with that. If you're okay with that setup, then that's okay also. But
Mhm.
for us, I think we are both very respectful of each other's time, of the different work that we has. He's not just in a band. He works a day job, a corporate job. So usually from 9 to 5, he's busy. So right now, like, he's at work now, and we're not messaging back and forth. So yeah, I think it's just about, also, when you see a person's potential and it's very clear to you, you really
Right.
don't want to do anything to stop them from reaching that. I feel like there are some partners who will not let their partner, flourish, and that might be because they don't also see how much of an impact that person could make. I think Kyle has a very deep understanding that with me going into MUP, it was a decision that I made not just by myself, but I genuinely felt called to it.
Mhm.
There were times that we go to church every Sunday, and there was one time when I was deciding, there was a message that talks about like, 7 factors of your calling, and doing a national pageant fit all 7 for me.
Yeah.
And so he's known that it's more than just for my own name to be elevated. It's really not about that. To be honest, I'm kind of shy when you meet me for the first time. I love
Mm.
sharing my heart, and I love talking about deep things, but when it comes to like new people and all that, I'm not that open to them.
Mm.
So for me, like, um I've always seen this title, or like having a higher title, as a place where we can talk about things that matter a lot. I feel like more comfortable talking about the things in our life that truly mean something. And I'm gonna be real, like sometimes I question it, that I'm like, sometimes pageants feel a little bit, I kind of like take a step back and I'm like, oh, I'm just like parading myself on a stage. Like, is that even okay? Like, is that morally correct? But then I realize every single time after a pageant, I'm given so many opportunities to talk to young girls about things and to
Right.
talk to the youth about things that they have. And so all the even more so than just making it about me, it's there's really so many lives that you can touch. And until now, like I have random strangers come up to me that's like, I watched your TikTok video the other day and it really helped me. I listened to your podcast episode on Spotify and it really changed the way that I think. And so um, sometimes it can get lost in this day and age that like we think it's all about, oh, how nice your Instagram video is and how nice your makeup is in this post, but like the true test of how your life goes is really how many people you can impact. And I think that more queens now should focus on that, because there are a lot of people who are struggling, and I think it's our role as people with platforms to really do something about it. And that's not even char anymore. It's really, I think there's a
Yes.
dire need in Gen Z and below to really figure out what life is actually about. And I have always understood that that's my role.
Yes, and I think you saw that when you did decide to join Miss Mandaue, that in pageant you can actually do more as well, and it goes hand in hand with your advocacy, and it goes hand in hand also with you being in the medical field, and it sakto na actually Gab ang atuang platform. It's kanang we advocate through this platform. Okay, sometimes manggod ang pageantry, it is used for clout for others. It's no longer used for purpose. Nga mo na bag, may lang sa sugod, pagkadaog na, nawag tang dayon. And even with the advocacy, ang advocacy, gisugdan, pag apil og pageant, but pagkahuman, wala. Wala na gi-practice. And I think, kana ba nang muingon ta nga, being a role model, unya ikaw man inig during the pageant lang. Nga inig kahuman ana mawagtang na dayon, 'di ba? There are a lot of those people, and I think with you, you've been consistent and you've been continuing it, and it's so nice pud no nga there are young girls, there are little girls nga who wants to be just like you, and who see you as somebody na role model talaga, na kanabang somebody nga kanabang uh, yang someday gusto ko, I want to be just like Ate Gabi, this and that. And I think that's one of the callings that you have, nga imuha siyang pag-discern nimo when you did join pageant, you know na it comes with the territory.
And I think there was this one event that we had as MUPH Top Six. So we have one of our sponsors is Surge
Mm.
Gym and Fitness in Manila. So we have these like get-togethers with them a lot, where their members can come in and they can ask us questions. So there was one time that I was like kind of emotional there, because the person asked me, if I don't look like you guys, and if I don't have a platform like you guys, how could I ever be impactful? And I was so emotional after he asked me that question, because it really like, I don't know, it broke my heart a little bit that someone could think that, oh, if I don't have everything that you have, I can never make a difference. And so I think I just want everyone to know, like, you don't need to be a doctor and a beauty queen in order for you to make a difference.
Right.
Like, I think people fail to recognize that, like, the way that you treat the people around you is really what makes a difference. Like, you could have a corporate job, you could be working in a call center, you could be working in, you could even just be a stay-at-home mom, and it's like, how do you steward what's already around you is what I want people to focus on. Like, we can be very ambitious, but I'm sure the people who work a corporate job or work in a call center, at one point they prayed to have a job.
Right.
And so now that that job's been given to you, how will you steward the thing that you've been given? Not, sometimes we have to be okay with the season that we're in, rather than continuously striving so hard for another one.
Right.
Like, how can you work with it right now? And so that's what I wanted to remind that guy who asked the question. Like, Like, so where do you work? Like, how do you have a lot of patience for your coworkers? When do you greet them good morning when you see them? Like, how do you, what kind of feeling does a person have after they talk to you? And I think that more people in 2025 need to focus on that. That includes bashers online. Like, how, like, do you really want that your soul is tied to negativity to other people? Like, it's not the greatest thing. That's why my final Q&A was so easy for me to answer, because it
Yes.
was about the posture of your heart, and everything from your heart, everything flows from there. So, where is your heart? Are you not feeling that wonderful today? And how does that impact the people that you meet? For sure, if you don't feel good in the morning, you're going to start to be mean to everybody around you. So how is it that you keep up, or like the upkeep of where your heart is at
Right.
during the day? Yeah, I just felt like a really big conviction to talk about that, especially on the national stage. Like, I know that I did not insert anything about, my own, I didn't insert anything about personal stuff like in my final Q&A, because my prayer when we were backstage is, if I really get to answer Q&A tonight, I hope that it's a message that will resonate with a lot of people. And so that's where that came from. And I think until now, some people use the ending of my
Yes,
answer in their
actually.
reflection.
Ah, actually, yeah, a lot of ila lang sigurong i-bali-bali like na
Yeah.
interchange, but the same message though. Murag koan. But you know what? I'm so glad that you did mention that one, because I think one of the forms also of our advocacy being in the pageant world, but not just in the pageant world, not just in the corporate world, not just in any institution, but as a person, uh, even just with the family, it's just one. It's about gratitude. It's about
Yeah.
looking back and saying thank you to all those people who have made a difference and impact in your life. And you focus on that gratitude and you bring it with you, because a lot of the negativity right now, one of those is people tend to forget. You mentioned about the corporate world. You mentioned about BPO, and this is also happening in other institutions, not just in the pageant world. But lately,
Yeah.
it's been happening in the pageant world, wherein we do a lot of hard work, being a pageantera, contesera, or even if in your work sa imuhang trabaho, being an employee, being in an institution, even as a student, or even as a member of the family, nga sometimes your hard work is not uh, dili sa tamoingon nga nangayo tag compensation, but the hard work sometimes is not being noticed. And it would have been much better also nga, ang ako ba, ang nakabati pa yun is, wa lang siya ma-take notice. Sometimes ma-devalued pa yun siya. Ma-discredited siya. And then, kana bitong feeling nga, you are only beneficial if you can give something back. But if wala kay mahatag, papha ka, mura lang kagwa, nga kanang let go nga, kanang let it go, diretso. And then the worst pa yun is you get discredited of the things that you have done wonderfully all those time, all those years. And then just because um wala na ka, or dili na, or nihinay na, or maybe I don't know, in the middle of it, wala ka uyon baro na ay wala na uyon ni sa imong gibuhat, they discredit everything that you have done. And then at ang pinakasakit pa gyud is, ug mutingog ka, you ask for accountability. And this has been also happening sa pageant world. I think ang nahitabo lately ani sa male nga pageant, nga when you speak up of this, you become the villain. Na wag tang na ang essence of gratitude. And I think that is one of the things nga dili lang na siya sa pageant world, it's also in our daily life. Would you agree with me ba on this one, Gab?
Yeah, and it's, I think on the side of being a talent, so meaning that we become under certain organizations and all that. The difficult part of being a talent also is, if you don't have somebody to advocate for you on your behalf, you instantly become labeled as someone with an attitude.
Right.
And I just think it's a little bit unfair because, you see some of the most, like, look at someone like Taylor Swift,
Mm-hmm.
in, the biggest name in music. She has developed a lot of enemies because she wanted to carve out her own path.
Yes.
So of course, I don't believe in burning bridges and leaving them there burnt and on the ground. I think there's a certain way that you can tell people things where it also spares their feelings or doesn't hurt as much. But at the same time, like, sometimes I think there also needs to be a little bit of grace for a person who tries their best to, move on lovingly, or all that. Like, I've experienced times where I'm really afraid that people are going to say, oh, she's changed, that she has an attitude and all that. But like, sometimes sometimes you really just have to, keep your conscience clear that I did my best to let this person down lightly. I There's nothing else that I could have done. On the other hand, sometimes when I can see on the other side of people who would be on the team of a girl, I can also understand why they might feel like they were not, given the amount of gratitude that they should have been given. So it's really supposed to be a balance of both sides. I think
Right.
more people need to have understanding for each other. There's it's a shame also that the talent who literally is the one who is the face of everything and all that, when they want to do something for themselves, they also should be given a bit of freedom to make the decisions that they want, but
Right.
at the same time in a way that gives love still and gratitude to the people who were there even from the beginning. So one thing that I loved about my journey in MUP was that when after I had won, we held a gratitude dinner with
Yes.
everybody that has
Mm-mm.
helped me. And that's not just people from MUP, it's people from MUP Cebu, it's people from Miss Cebu, it's people from Miss Mandaue, like every single makeup artist, every single trainer, every single, member of any team that has ever been part of me reaching Miss Eco was invited to that dinner. Of course, some people couldn't go for reasons that they had. Maybe they had something like with their family or whatever. But I invited everybody that played a role in my pageant journey. And for me, that was already it was a tribute to everyone who gave any sort of effort. And I think also if like with our journey also to I wanted also to one thing that I learned a lot is there's a what I love about Cebu is everyone's very helpful, but at the same time, what I've learned in Manila is that you should really try to give something to the people who have helped you, even if it's a
Yeah.
little bit lang, even if they say it's okay, you don't have to pay me. If you can
Right.
give them just a little bit, even if it's just a thank you note, if that's all that you can
Yes.
kaya,
Mm-mm.
just something. Like I know that they don't expect it, and I know
Right.
that it's not something they say, but that's one of the skills I learned in Manila, that like you really, as long as there's something, like you don't have to give a lot, they will understand. Especially like me in Manila, when I was starting after I won, I had no more funds to myself. So when there were stylists who would reach out to me in Manila who wanted to help me, I really was honest to them. I really said, I can't really, my funds right now cannot take your full rate,
Right.
but if there's any part of you that could maybe help me and maybe a cheaper rate or something, then we can work something out. And then they did. So my GMA gala look was something that my stylist had given me a better rate for based on what I could carry. So, I feel like there's sometimes we're scared to admit that we don't have enough money. We're scared to admit like all that, but like it's really okay. Honesty really gets you far. So
Right.
like even when I had changed stylists from MUP Cebu to MUP, and it was a very hard thing for me to say because I don't like hurting people's feelings. To be honest, I'm not that confrontational, but I really sat her down and I really told her. And I really said, it's nothing about you. It's just that there's a different direction I want to move in. And I hope that that's okay. I paid her in full so that at least, I have thank you for your services, and I'm so grateful for this moment in time. And she was still invited to my thank you dinner after, and she
Yeah. You're
went. And
still keeping that connection.
yeah, like I still keep her in mind
Mm-hmm.
that she still did something to help me, and very
Right.
instrumental person for my comeback into pageantry after how many years. So um it's undoubtedly you will hurt feelings. That goes both ways. Like talents, us as talents, our feelings also get hurt when we feel betrayed by someone on our team or something. But I think it's like, okay, feelings are one thing, and you'll feel that for a few days, months, whatever. But I hope that like once the feelings go away, you recognize also this is how I could have dealt with this better, or maybe I can reach out to this person. It's been a
Right.
while, and I want to spend time with them. So um like yeah, I think it's just all about like not completely demolishing the fact that they helped you.
Right.
um Both ways again. Like I like it a lot when even people from my teams before they reply to my story, even if it's just simple like laughing at something I shared. Like I think that that means a lot to me because it makes me also peaceful that even if we don't see each other that much anymore, that you still want that connection with me. So same with my some of the people I've worked with, I react to their stories, like, oh, or say like, oh, I miss you, I hope to see you soon, stuff like that, just so there's an understanding that even if we don't see each other as much anymore, you're still important to me, and I hope that you don't forget that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about sa pageant world lang nato. Even in our
Yeah.
family, even how we deal with people, this one way or another, you did you share the friendship, you share the connection. This person have helped you. He or she is part of your history. And you can never erase that, no matter how much you try to say, oh, I'll forget, di na ka, or wala na. But truth be told, na when you think about that certain journey that you have, may it be positive or negative, that person is and has been part of it. And wa man siguro mawagtang nimo og kanang mo thank you ka, di man sad siguro kinahanglan grand gesture. Ayaw lang sad i-discredit, di ba? Kay kana mas grabe-grabe na sad na. You say thank you, don't discredit, and don't if na mga bikil, don't make that person the villain of the story. You think of the good things and the beautiful things that you've shared and that you've done together. I think that's one point of being kanang gitawag nato sa pageant world og attitude with gratitude, right, Gab?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a time, one of my runway challenge dress was made by Rabi, and we had two actually. There was initially we wanted to wear yellow, and it
Mm.
was a shorter dress with like still a train that would fly because we wanted the legs to be seen.
Mm.
So of course this was all like he just had my measurements, and then maship ang dress sa Manila. I would try it, and then if it doesn't fit, we send it back. Like it was a back and forth
Mm.
kind of thing. And I remember the yellow one, there was a time that I wasn't happy with the first outcome. And I was like crying because I didn't want him to feel like I wasn't grateful for the work that he had done. So it was really really hard for me. Like I was telling my mom, man, I really don't feel confident wearing this, and it was so hard for me to like really tell him. And so what I did, my stylist is Josie, and I told Josie about it. And Josie's like, it's okay, it's okay. We'll just hold a meeting with him, and then we'll talk about your concerns. And so I was like telling my mom, I was like, can you please speak for me, because I think I'm gonna start crying in front of the camera if I talk. And Robbie was so okay with it. Like he was so like, no, Gab, like this is what you're gonna wear. I want you to feel good in it. We can make another one. And I mean, of course, because he did all that effort, we still decided to compensate him, even if he said
Yeah.
he didn't need it. But I was just so grateful for someone that even if I was so scared of telling the truth, that I wasn't that happy with the first output, but ending, we made a dress that really worked so well with the runway competition. With the runway challenge, it was blue, it was long, a slit that showed the one leg, and then the way that the fabric blew off my shoulder really worked well with the side angle of the shoot that was made. And so like sometimes I think that can be the downside if you're managing your own team. It's like how to spare their feelings but also make sure that you're confident enough with what you're doing.
Right.
So I'm just very blessed to have worked with people also who are very open
Mm-hmm.
to being corrected. And I think the fact that I clearly looked so stressed about having to be honest, I think he felt for me too and was like, no, it's really fine, like it's really fine, you don't
Right.
have to worry.
Kay ang
So
importante that
yeah.
you sat down with him. You gave
Yeah.
him mga kana bang gitawag bitag feedback or
Yeah.
update kumbaga. So usahay man gud there are mawagtang there's the miscommunication nga kalit lang ug kawagtang kay wala man ka naghatag og update, wa mo nag-sit down. And then sometimes kaning uban nga magkanang there are people nga kanang dili mo gud na dapat likayan even if the conversation is difficult. That's exactly why you should sit down because that's what you call communication. Yeah. At least ug kamunduha walay laing third party nga naghatod-hatod na
Yeah,
istorya, di ba? So the more nga mo
exactly.
grabe kay ako og ako say naa sa position nga mobalibad ka na ako or this one ang ako I'll be very thankful kay at least you sat down with me, you gave me feedback, you gave me update kay na ay uban manggod nga dili mo hatag og feedback, di mo hatag og update nga di mo
Oh,
share
niya,
sa ilang feelings nga
maglibak na
mahibong
lang.
manglibak na lang dauton
Mm,
ka nga ini kahuman mahibong lang ka ha ngano dayto noon sa dayto kana bitong ingon
yeah,
ana kay
exactly.
because this and that and then if you ask for accountability nya imo siyang imo siyang i-confront or imo siyang ikuan nga di man na mao imong gibuhat sometimes ikaw pa mabati kay for them it is
Exactly.
an attack when in
Mm,
fact I'm just waiting dapat unta you should have sat down with me on this one and talk to me especially when if the ball is already in your hand kay I've already spoken to you and then naghuwat ko sa imong feedback wa kani feedback nako something like that so I think with
yeah.
that one what you did with katong sa imong hanggan though I know you kay ikaw sa mas stress man sad ka kay you're not kato imong giingon lagi you're not confrontational but it's one of those things nga kanang naa sa ato ang industry nga kana bang tungod sa kadaghan nga gani nga gown niya ikaw ka ba nga la di na ko gamiton ng iyang gown niya masuk
Yeah.
kada tayo ingon ana it comes with the territory and I'm just so happy because Robbie is also very professional so at least ba nindot ang inyuhang pagstorya and
Yeah, and it made our relationship stronger
yes,
also. I
oo.
think I've learned to value honesty from people a lot more
Hmm,
as I've matured. Also, like I the second that I hear of like anybody even having history of backbiting, I get
right,
very cautious with working with people with that kind of history with especially in places where I'm the one putting myself out on the line. I'm the one
right.
stressing myself out every day,
Hmm,
representing everyone and as much as possible I want to trust the people that I work with and be able to share my highs and my lows and not feel like
right.
someone will take it against me. And so I was very cautious with everything. I chose the people that I worked with because I saw something in them also that I felt was safe for me to
Yes, that's the
express
word.
myself. Like
Safe.
I don't
Yeah.
cry, but I was open enough to cry to my stylist about it because she made me feel safe enough that I can express that at least to her. And then
Mm,
that what's nice about the stylist is the stylist can also be that leeway that connects the conversation between you and the designer. So it
right.
was a really nice interplay of everything. So I really appreciate them a lot.
Mhm. Moving on, Gab, let's now go to our Kamusta Cebu. So, with the earthquake and everything, where were you ba when the earthquake struck?
Yeah, I was here at home.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the kitchen here. I was
Mm-mm.
just talking to my brother and my fiance. We were just having a really random conversation, and I was like,
Right.
"Wait, is it starting to shake?" And then
Taas og
we sat.
dugay pud baya to.
Yeah. And so we're in the Bukid, so it wasn't as like I honestly I thought it was um not gonna be that bad in terms
Mm.
of structurally outside of like, in the north or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that it was going to be that level of destructive.
Right.
So I felt really, really, to be honest, I acknowledge my ignorance after the first shock came because I really thought that like, oh yeah, I had plans the next day and me and my friend were texting like, oh, let's push through and all that. And then I started seeing all the videos on Facebook and I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh, I'm so ignorant. And so I messaged my friend. I was like, yeah, never mind. Let's not meet today. Let's not meet tomorrow. Let's just push and like see what happens. And yeah, so that was really interesting. But that was only my second major earthquake
Mm.
of my life.
You went to Bantayan. Oh no, Tabugon. What was it in
Tabogon,
Tabugon?
yeah.
What was your experience there with Doc Jovel?
Yeah, so it's actually not planned that I was going to see her.
Mm-hmm.
It was just timing that she was there serving the communities. And then the hotel that she stayed at was the one who owns that place is the same counselor that my mom and I were in contact with. So we drove there to that place that she was staying and we dropped off all of our relief goods. And then she all of a sudden came out of the door and she had just woken up because Luoy in town. She was working until
Mm.
late at night, and then I saw her and I was like, "What is that, Dr. Vel?" So I went up to her, and then we talked for so long, and then so we just finished packing up the rest of the relief goods together, and she was telling me about her experiences. So that was the first time I got to talk to Dr. Vel for like a long period of time. I've
After the
always
Miss
known of her. Yeah, I've always known of her. I've been in the same room as her, but I would always be talking to Ate Chris. So that was the
mm.
first time that I finally got to sit down with her,
Oh,
and so it
yeah,
was
right.
nice
Kay
too.
si Chris man ug si Doc Jovel tinuod ay ang
Yes,
kanang, what you
they're
call that,
batchmates.
kabatch 'no, oo. But then,
Mm.
um, but then a lot of things were happening. Are you one of those ba who got caught up in katong sa traffic? Nga everybody was like
No.
going there. You were not, dili na ka. But you've seen there, of course, no, kanang mga walay tubig, and then naiuban nga wala maabti, sa kanang mga ayuda. What are your thoughts on this one ba? Kanang how the local government or the government should have done it.
Well, it's really difficult to say that they could have done it much better because it kind of felt like they were building a disaster response based on kind of nothing. They like realistically there was not a good one to begin with, and you
Mm.
can never guess when these things are going to happen. So unfortunately, the earthquake had to be used as the LGU's kind of practice round for future things that are going to be happening. And I would say that for a government official to be this new to serving the province, I personally really, really looked up to her for being there on site and really rallying people together, even through her Facebook and all that. Like, when you think about a democracy, it's really the people who are in power that have elected a person to sit there in office. And one thing that I liked was that she really utilized the power of the people in order for help to be sent. In terms of the smaller things, like the more far-flung areas not being tended to and things like that. Of course, now that we have seen that, I know that next time if something happens, we will do a lot better. In terms of the traffic and the amount of people going there. When I went there, it was a weekday. And so I remember feeling so inspired because on the way home, there were so many cars going towards the north with their own relief goods. And I can't help but say that I personally got inspired because I saw GovPam going out, and she was there. Like, she came from the coronation, or no, the prelims or something of Miss Asia Pacific, and then I know she did not sleep that whole night. And just seeing what she went through for everyone was really inspiring for me. So that's why my mom and I wanted to move super fast also. So day 2 after, my mom and I were already there distributing our relief. um, of course, there will always be an opposite. So when the traffic all started, then that was also a different problem. But I think that's also very difficult to predict that
Mm-hmm.
many people would be going all the way to the north to send relief.
Yeah.
So it's, yes, very sad that a 3-hour drive could become an 11-hour drive. And I'm so sorry for the people who got stuck in that. But I just
Mine
hope
was
that,
12 hours.
oh, yeah, see,
Yeah.
like that.
Mm.
Like, I'm so sorry that you had to experience that, and that's like a whole shift in the hospital.
I
But
know.
it's like, I know that next time, because that happened, it's definitely not going to be that level of disorganized. The first few days were okay because
Mm.
there was not that many, but once the weekend hit, everybody's off of work, everyone wanted to go, and so it's, yeah, a little bit hard. But I think overall, I would say that our local government really inspired people to move. And I think that that's
Yes.
the greatest impact that it's had on
Mm.
everyone here.
All right. Okay. Your thoughts on shifting to online classes, especially that nagsigipag irog or nagyapay ginagmayng aftershock. Is this the right move? Was this the right move by the LGU and some of our schools? Kay naman sa uban nga maingon nga kana bang gi-compare nga loss of education and then versus loss of life. And a lot of parents were calling for i-shift na lang to online. But then there are also schools who are saying that magka education or magka gap niya kuno sa ato ang quality education if magsigi pagpadayon ang online class. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that we should have learned something from the pandemic,
Mm.
that, everybody was either doing modular or they were in online class. I think from that, schools have to be prepared for an outcome similar to that. We cannot just experience something and then not take any of the lessons that we learned from that for dire situations like earthquakes, or any natural disaster or health risk again. It's it's um it's not something that we can prevent anymore. For sure that life will throw us a lot of curveballs. It already has been, all the more with global warming, where that opens up more diseases, and global warming opens up more natural disasters. I think that it's kind of disappointing if we didn't learn anything from the pandemic. I also suggest that people, if there is an education gap, which I'm sure there was during the pandemic, it
Yes.
should have been studied how to fill that gap.
Mm-hmm.
If there were no studies done how to fill the gap, then what did we learn? Like, meaning that you didn't take anything from it. During the pandemic, I was lucky enough to be in online class. I have
Mm-hmm.
some friends who did not go like do that semester of college because they thought that they couldn't learn well online. But um, the Philippines was able in general was did their best to adjust back then. So if we can improve that and insert it in moments where we need it, then I think that it should be okay. But of course, if it's not online, then pwede balik sa modular. Like, if you think about it, if for how many years we were able to do modular for the public schools, meaning each year level already has modules prepared for what they should be learning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that, like, why can't we unlock again what was done before? And at the same time, when it comes to earthquakes, I don't think this is going to be a forever thing. It's not going to last as long as the
Yes.
pandemic will.
Mm-mm.
So you don't have to prepare for as long of a period of time. I think, like, I don't I'm positive that there's really ways. It's just that sometimes in social media, there's so many opinions that sometimes you don't even know what your own opinion is. You don't it's
Yes.
kind of confusing, like which one's right, which one's wrong. There's
Right.
actually no right and wrong. There's just a way that you have to adjust things in order to make it work. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think the bigger problem for me now is AI. So, not necessarily.
Yeah, AI. Oo, kay
Yeah.
wala na namang gyud sa online ang problema usahay is magklase and then especially if exams nya wa sa takaybaw og na ang ni-answer sa exam ang mama ba ka ha or na ba
Yeah,
ka?
actually,
Dapat unta no?
what they made us do in med school, but this is, of course, for those who are privileged enough to have
Right.
this. We had two devices. So that's
Mm.
laptop, and then our phones had to be placed at a position like here in a
Yes.
meeting so
Uh-huh.
that they could see where our eyes were, where our hands are
Right.
going, all that. So, um, that would be ideal, but I know that not everybody has two devices.
Mm.
So if you have one device, obviously it would be, I don't think there should be an option that your camera can be off.
Mhm.
But then again, not everybody has a phone with a camera. So
Yeah.
it's like, how can we make sure that people have phones with cameras?
Right. And not everyone has access, especially kanang mga
So
public school.
internet.
Number one, wa sila internet. Number two, wa sila gadget. So, actually, number one, ang why gadget. Number two, why internet. So, these are
Yes.
things, yeah, modular niya. Ang modular sad, ma-modular ug ma-online, wa man sa takay ba nga tingali usahay, ang mga mama na manubag. Mo
Yeah.
I just want to get this out, no, message sa ato ang mga parents nga do you think this is fair and do you think nga kana bang maka-learn ang ato ang mga anak og kanang even sa pagtubag sa ilahang mga exams and sa ilahang mga assignment ato kita mo tubag para nila where we are supposed to be preparing our children for
For
life
real
and
life.
yeah and wala man ta diha pirmi unya og mo dagko na sila later on di man ta kay mag og sakto lang maguna man gyud ta nga mawagtang sa kalibutan. So unsaon na lang ang ato ang mga anak kung sigihan natog ka ng pampered og ingon ana ba. Kaya I think that's where also the education or the learning gaps come in. Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point also. Because I mean, it's hard because I know as a mom it must be hard to not overhelp your kid.
Mhm.
Because my mom, I remember when I was in grade 4, grade 5, she would help me so much on my projects. Although I would be the one to do it, but hands-on kayo siya, which I'm very lucky for that. But I know it must be hard when you're already a mom to hold yourself back from helping
Mhm.
your child 100%. I can
Yeah.
imagine.
And then which you eventually will later on. When
Yes,
you
exactly.
know, how many kids ba if ever?
Well, I like even numbers, so I think it's two or four.
2 or 4?
Ideally, I don't know. I grew up in a family of two, and I like it. But also, my partner grew up in a family of four, which is nice because they're like a little community
Mhm.
of people. So I can imagine that when your parents get older, it's nice to have more minds to bounce things off of. So maybe either two or four. But I'm happy already with being two. But my brother and I lang are medyo layo among age gap. We're 7 years apart.
Oh.
So I'm a super ate. Like I'm not just the ate by 2 years. I'm an ate by seven. So it would be nice to maybe have a little bit of a smaller gap, not too small, because my brother and I did not argue very much growing up since we're far in
Mhm.
age. But maybe like 5 years or something, or
Mm.
less, maybe four. I don't know. We'll see.
Hopefully, we'll see. But perhaps, if two manggani, may unta, no, parison, babae o lalaki. So that you'll
I
have
know,
both
right?
words, Pero,
Just like my mom.
I know, if we can only have that one, if we can only, like, pwede atong kanang koan niya, mo ni, duha ka babae baron, duha ka lalaki, kaya at least paris-paris ba. And then,
Yeah.
before we end, Gab, can you just a little bit let's just touch base lang about kanang taking it to media. Kay we have a lot of ang ato ang mga kauban pod sa pageant world, and it's also happening not just in our ordinary life as well nga sometimes we get so frustrated because when we voice out or uh, we ask for help, sometimes we get stonewalled, and sometimes there's we're being gaslit, and then there's indifference on the other side. So ang mahitabo nga with all na exhaust na nimo ang mga means, still the stonewalling and the bureaucracy is still there. And this happened sa ato ang pageant world as well. So some of our mga brothers and some sisters as well sa pageant world are taking it to the media. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I really hope that before things get taken onto social media, that they're attempted at least to be fixed either personally, face to face, or you've done everything that you could to reach out to the person. Um, I I think it's in my values that I would never want to publicly shame somebody for doing something. I don't even like contributing to tearing down of a person's reputation
Mm.
within my own circles, like in terms of gossip. I think gossip is just as bad as posting it online. I am one of those people that, if there's something that I cannot change about it, if I feel like I was not treated well, or if I feel like, this person has done me wrong, honestly, I really just wish that their eyes will be opened one day. Like that's it. The things that I learned is that if somebody has done me wrong, I just won't work with them ever again. I won't also contribute to them not getting work in the future. I wouldn't want to contribute to that because that just makes me as bad of a person
You're
if
right.
I am also contributing to tearing down of their own reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I am a big believer of truth, and that truth gets exposed when it is
Yes.
meant to be exposed. I think we
Mm.
see that in our government.
Mm-hmm.
We see that with a lot of things. When you do bad things, it's bound to be revealed, and sometimes it's really frustrating for us who are wronged because we think that it's taking so long, that I'm finally getting justice, it's taking forever, that they're going to learn their lesson. But you never know also what that person's experiencing on the inside. That person could already be feeling the guilt of how they've treated you. A lot of the times in our industry, it's about money, or um, it's about just a lot of actually a lot of the things in our industry is about just not wishing the best for other people. We don't want to see other people succeed sometimes, and I think it's just like I said in my Q&A. It's about your heart posture. Even
Yes.
if your emotions tell you like to tear this person down, or not support this person, like you know in your core what's correct. And if we keep acting on how we feel, which includes posting it on social media, then that's not going to get us anywhere, because your emotions are a very temporary thing. But what lasts is the decisions that you make.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose to defame a person, whether
Mm.
it be through gossip or through posting it online, that will be something that's held against your name all the way till the very end. So
Yes.
one thing that I've done, I pray for the people who have done me wrong. Like I've
Mm.
genuinely sat in my room and said, I really hope this person, their eyes will be opened one day. Like I really hope that this person recognizes what they've done wrong and stop doing it to other people.
Yeah.
Because usually when there's a perpetrator, they do it to more than just you. They do it to a lot of people.
Yes.
So you just I'm a big woman of faith, so I really really trust so much that, like, God knows what's in your heart, and He knows what's in the other person's heart, and
Yes.
it will be exposed eventually. I don't And I think one thing about forgiveness is that you don't need to be apologized to for you to feel peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need to hear you say sorry for me to feel better. I don't need to see you suffer for me to feel better. All I need is to let go of that and just kind of, not really, like, I don't have to be near you. I don't have to spend time with you. I don't have to
Right.
focus on that. Just move forward. And if that person reaches out to you to try to make things better, then I hope that you can also have the grace to give that to them, give that time to them too. Like, you don't have to. I think when you really truly forgive someone, that means that, like, if there's a part of them that changes, you actually are going to be happy that they recognized it.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
with social media, I think it's more on focusing on the wrongdoing, not on the person. Because sometimes
Yeah.
the wrongdoing is not specifically done not just by that person, it can also be done by that other. It's just shedding light on the wrongdoing and the accountability, and that with what you are doing wrong, you should be culpable, or that instead of focusing on the person, but more on shedding light on the wrong thing that was done, and what you could do, the positive thing that you can do about it,
And I
kumbaga.
think it's a little bit hard on social media, because when you, as a spectator, you view it very black and white.
Mm,
So whatever is posted there, you instantly, because you don't know that person personally most of the time, you
yes.
label them for what you've read, and then
Right.
you kind of realize, if it were you, you also would want people to give you a bit more space to explain yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not, I wouldn't say, like, for me it's not so productive, because, well, what you usually see, someone posts about someone, then that person posts something also, let's say a public apology. All they get is people giving laugh reacts back
Mm,
to them, because
true.
they've already taken the first side. So it's still just so divisive. Like, you're never going to win. I just don't think, like, if we could just bring things to, like, if you really want to take it to that level, just file a case against the person. Like, if that's really
Yes, kana. Ana na lang, uh, lawful means, kumbaga, mas peace,
yeah.
mas koan pa diha dapita, di ba? Anyway, Gab, we have taas-taas ta daghan actually tag
I know.
istoryahan, but I want your voice to rest as well, kay naa para ba kay mga shows, and again, congratulations. But before we end, please do say thank you to all those people that you want to say thank you to. I'll give you the floor, and of course your message sa pagpangumusta sa Cebu. Okay.
Yes, so if I'm sure majority of the people who are listening are from Cebu. If you're not, and you happen to scroll past this video still, I hope that you enjoyed the conversation that we had today. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's got me here, to all of the trainers that I've trained under, to all of the makeup artists that have figured out how to do my face, even though it can be a little bit challenging sometimes. For every clinic I've been to and I've worked with, for every hairstylist who's done my hair, including the people who have colored my hair. Like, I think people think that I did this, I get a lot of the glory for it, but it's really me. I'm just the face of all of the hard work that other people have put into me, of the belief that other people have put into me. So, yeah, if you're listening to this and we've worked together, even if it's not for a pageant, if it's just at a fashion show or something, and we happen to be together, or we did a workshop together or something, just know that I'm really grateful for your life, and I never forget about the people that have contributed to making me be able to perform well at Miss Universe Philippines. And I guess my message to everyone, whether you're a fan or you are thinking of becoming one or you've been following me ever since before, just know that I really don't take my role in your life lightly. That I've understood that my goal here and my purpose is to really be encouraging, to uplift you, to make you remember that even when you go through difficult times, that there's so much more to life than just that darkness that you feel from time to time, and that your life is what you make it, and as long as you trust in God and you turn to Him when you need things, then He will really grant you all of the desires of your heart, as long as you have the correct posture of your heart. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
everyone.
Gab, thank you so much for taking the time, as in daghan jud kayong salamat, and hope to see you later niya sa in person, and make more chika, and of course congratulations in your upcoming wedding, and sa imuhan niyang puhon-puhon yung mga upcoming projects, and of course rooting for you this coming May in 2026. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, of
And
course.
yes, of course, daghan kaayong salamat, Sugbo, for taking the time and joining us this afternoon. This has been Miss G. You are tuning in to Miss with Miss G here at TMC 105.1 FM, the most Cebu conversation. Daghang salamat, Sugbo!